What would it take to make sustainability sexy? I'm not talking about sex appeal or half-naked models. I'm talking about the sort of mainstream acceptance that makes sustainability a topic worthy of the popular kids' table. I gave myself a challenge a couple years back to really try and understand what was happening to our planet, and I felt helpless at first. I now feel more motivated than ever to see us turn back the disasters that so many knowledgeable people are convinced are coming for us. The way things are, if everyone lived like the average American household, we would need close to 5 planets just to survive. But how do you get people to stop living in such unsustainable ways? Can we get everyone to trade their cars for horses and buggies? No. I realized the solution was to create technology that would let people thrive in their modern lifestyles and protect the planet. How could that work? Well, you have to look at Wisdom Designs on buildyourwisdom.com to learn more.
Welcome to the Superhero Academy podcast on the Valhalla Movement Network.
Hello, Marc Angelo here with another edition of the Valhalla Movement podcast. And today we've got a very special guest. Now, I know I say this every single time, but this is the first time that I think we've ever had a guerrilla gardening gangster or a gardening gangster. This is a special moment for me because we are talking today with Ron Finley. Now, if you haven't heard of Ron Finley, chances are you should open up a TED YouTube video. Go check it out because millions of people at this point have heard Ron Finley speak at TED, and it was phenomenal. I can't imagine not having heard this TED Talk at this point, being in this space. But if you haven't, all those links are all in the description, or you can check out ronfinley.com. But today we are going to dive into the story of an incredible man from South Central LA. Thanks, Ron, for being a guest on the podcast today.
Thanks for inviting me here, Mark.
So,
hello to your audience.
So, tell us your story. Let's walk us through, you're known as the guerrilla gardener. You're known as a gangster gardener, sorry.
Renegade gardener.
Yeah, renegade gardener.
Black gardens on the street. Black Jesus. Some people even call my police call me. The ghetto garden. I mean, they come up with all kinds of shit.
So talk to me a little bit about how that happened. I mean, when did you get this name? When did this all start coming together for you? I mean, what made you start gardening?
Well, I mean, it's real simple. I live in a food prison. Most people call them food deserts. I call them prisons. And it's all by design, just like prisons are by design. And I just got tired of being an inmate. So I figured, let me change this paradigm. Let me grow my own food. This is one thing I can do to escape, this predestined life that's been subscribed, that I've unwillingly subscribed to. So that's what happened, man. I was growing food at my property, but then I decided to, there's a strip of land outside. They call them parkways here, it's like right before you get to the street. Then there's this grass strip. I got 150 feet. So I wanted to beautify it. I got tired of the asphalt and the concrete and just, you go out and the, dead grass, or you water your grass, you mow it, and then you throw it away. That was using resources, not using them to me. And, I decided, that I wanted to walk out my door and I wanted to be kissed by hummingbirds and butterflies and see beauty and have, be assaulted by, the smell of jasmine and lavender and rosemary. And it was real simple. I mean, it's color therapy, man. And so that's that's basically was the catalyst. That's what started it all.
So there's a lot of people that say that, right? There's a lot of people who are like, oh, why don't they just plant food everywhere we go, right? Why aren't there foods in the middle of the highways or in the mediums, or why aren't they in the, those parkways like you're talking about? And so many people have had this idea, but there are very few people who actually get their shovels, dirty and get their hands dirty and out there and fucking do it, right? So at what point, what made you decide, hey, you know what? Yes, this is public land. I'm supposed to cut the grass here or take care of it. What made you decide, like, okay, you know what? We're going to reclaim this and we're going to start doing this more than just right in front of my house, but then eventually around LA.
Around the world.
Around the world too. Yeah, that's true.
Real simple. I mean, if I have to take care of it, I'm going to do what I want. It's basically, it's like, it's not really the city's property. They have the right of way to it because for, access, they need, the municipalities, they need access to the fire hydrants and, your gas pipes and all that. A lot of people say that your property line literally goes to the middle of the street in reality. So, but you're supposed to maintain it. You're supposed to keep it clean from obstructions and everything else. So this is the way I chose was to beautify it, and not fall into, this drone syndrome of doing what everybody else does and keeping it the same way. I mean, like some Peyton Place bullshit. Was that Stepford wife bullshit or something? Everybody's got the same, the same everything, the same color, the same trees, the same. We are all artists, Mark. Mm-hmm. Everybody artists. Either you, if you claim it or not, you're still an artist. And my thing is, I wanted to use this as what would you want to see if it's your canvas? What's the first color you're going to put on there? What brush are you going to use? You're going to use spray paint? You're going to use, you're going to use regular paint? You're going to use a marker? What you going to use to create your canvas? This is my canvas. I chose to use plants. Amazing.
So in your choosing of using plants, is this something that you had a background in? Is this something that, like, where did you learn gardening? Where did you decide, I'm going to spend my time, instead of watching, TV, I'm going to spend my time outside in the sun planting fruits and vegetables? Like, where did that inspiration come out of for you? Why do you feel gardening is so important?
Well, that was 16 questions you just asked me.
Okay, well, let's go. Forget why gardening is important for now. No. I know why it's important, but let's go with where do you feel like? Where was your background in gardening? Where did you learn this? And
I have no background in gardening. I'm a fashion designer, but if you believe some of the fables and stories and certain books, we all are gardeners. Think about it, it was the first profession ever, for, if you believe some books, because, and there was this guy and he told this other dude, take care of my garden, and there's going to be this woman with these nice, luscious, grass and the curves and, the snake and shit. He said, but don't pay no attention to that. I'll tell you what to do with that later. But dude didn't listen. And now we got plastic. That's where we at. So, we all are gardeners. It's in our DNA. It's, we turn to dust. We turn to soil. People seem to forget about that.
And the soil is important.
The soil's everything, man. Everything. Think about it. That's where life comes from. A lot of people don't understand how important it is, and we underestimate the value of, and people call it dirt. Yeah, there is dirt that has no nutritional value, nothing, and you just feel it. But there's soil, which has nutrients, and it's vital to our existence. And my thing is, I tell people, the importance of soil, because we've been taught you are what you eat. And I'm like, no, that's kind of not true. You are what you eats. Okay. So your soil needs to be extremely healthy. And then you have healthy plants, because your plants eat soil. They don't just grow in soil, they eat it. The same thing with water. We don't take the value of water we take it totally for granted. But when being a gardener, Like you've seen things that are wilted and ready to go down, and you put some water on it, and what happens? It comes like some miracle, like some life giving, element. So if water can do that, shouldn't we look at it another way? If it brings forth life like that, but we don't treat water like that, like air. I mean, I do talks and I ask people, what's the single most important thing to your life? My husband, my dog, my kids, my wife, my baby daddy, and, my job, and my golf clubs or some shit, and I'm like, no, air. Air is the single most important thing to your life, because you can do without food. You can do without water. You cannot. I give most people 30 seconds. And sometimes I go into the audience and say, and if you don't believe me, I got a test I will do on you to show you that you cannot do it out here. And I put somebody in a chokehold. But yeah, no, it's just that serious, man. We need to look at these vital resources that are all around us. I don't have no background in garden. I mean, the gardening I learned was in kindergarten when we had a petri dish and we had the brown paper towel and we put the seed so we can in the paper towel and you watched it grow on the side of the dish. I still start plants like that because it still works. But that's as far as it goes. People ask me, it's like, oh, he's a garden, he's an expert. He's a garden. I'm like, I'm not no damn expert. Everything I do is an experiment. And I go up there and I tell people that I'm not promoting myself as no soil savant or some shit or guru or, that I know the names and all these, some people pride themselves on these naming. They know all the, Latin names of the, I could give a fuck,
You just care if it brings you a tomato or that smells nice and that it grows nice and that's that, right? You try it.
Yeah, that's all it is. And it's a joy trying. And most of the time it happens because, as you know, plants want to live. Mm-hmm. We just can give them an environment where they could live a lot better, just like anything else. And we are all seeds. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And we're trying to get environments where we can live and prosper a lot better. Same thing plants do. That's why they grow up in a crack like that, man. But no, my experience is just that. It's not like I went to somebody. I didn't have I don't know if it's a luxury or not, of being with somebody that put me down. I mean, in nothing I've done. I haven't been in an environment like that, even in my fashion game, ever. I always had to know what the hell was going on. I had to figure it out, on my own. And that's kind of I took a workshop here and there after, but then, you get one nugget from this workshop because you knew everything, one nugget from then. After a while, it's like, the hell with this. I'm not, and people were, well, you read? I'm like, yeah, if I read, I'm dyslexic. So if I read, it's going to take me so long to read this shit that I could have been planting it and learning. And, so that's where I'm from, man. But it was something that had to change. And the fact that it was illegal is another thing.
That's
the fact that I did have the problems that I had. But I mean, you wouldn't be here talking to me if it wasn't for some hater. So I love to tell people, embrace your haters because they make you famous.
That's fucking smart. That's so true.
Yeah, I wouldn't be flying, first class to fucking Copenhagen, if it wasn't for some hater, of being on the stage in Stockholm. Same stage where I tell people Bill Clinton opened for me because basically he opened the conference and I closed it. So basically he opened for me, and like, and I joked about that, and I said, no, we knew what we were doing. We saved the best for last.
Yeah, no, Bill Clinton is quite the act to follow without a doubt. But I mean, it is fucking crazy that this shit is illegal, right? It is crazy that at the end of the day, there's land that nobody gives a shit about, that nobody wants to go and take care of, that literally people are paid to go and like cut the grass between the highways and all this stuff. And if we were to use it and we were to benefit from that and not just read about it, because I fucking hate, I've learned about permaculture and all these things and gardening. And to be honest, there is no such thing as learning it if you're not doing it. That's the way I see it. Like, you can read all day about what plant should be next to what plant, but if you're not trying it and doing it and testing the limits of the zones that you're in, or testing the limits of how much water you should be putting in and out of it, how much care it needs, none of that stuff matters. You know what I mean? None of that stuff really kind of boils down to it. And a lot of people like to talk about this solution. A lot of people like to say, oh, yes, we all know that we should be eating organic and growing our own, but how many people really do it is kind of beyond me. But I think it's getting to a point where it's critical mass, right? I think there's getting to a point where, number one, the movement is growing. More and more people are getting into gardening. But number two is that it actually has to happen at this point, right? I mean, I was in LA in January, and everything that everyone was talking about, everything that everyone should have been talking about, was probably the drought. The fact that there was zero snow in the mountains in Yosemite and stuff. The fact that there was literally, they're running out of water in a state of what? How many millions of people? I mean, that's fucked up. That's serious. Like, is that not something that, even as a gardener, you must be freaking out. You must be like, what the fuck are we going to do about this? And how are we going to deal with not only gardening, not only food, not only with all the fast food joints and stuff that are littering across America, but and particularly South Central, but how do we deal with the fact that even now we're running out of water, right? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the drought?
My computer. Let me see if I can find this damn cord for my computer.
Sure.
My I call it a bunch of political ass dragging, man. It's like bureaucratic ass dragging. Because this is nothing new. I mean, this is the worst drought they're seeing in 1,200 years, and so with that, I blame them. It's not like they didn't know. It's not like it's something new. I mean, it's like you said, this shit is at critical mass right now, and they should have done something about it. They should have been a lot more proactive. Hold on a second.
Take your time, man.
They should have been a lot more proactive about this, you know? And so, I mean, I think a lot of this falls on the powers that be, the people that run, the state. And then it falls on the people who are out there who have abused this water. Like a lot of these growers, some of the biggest they flood their fields.
Yep.
That's what they do. There's other methods that they could have been using. And we take the brunt of that, of what they've done. They say 80% of the water use here is for agriculture. So they're wanting us to cut back and do all this, but what are they telling them to do? Our 20% is going to do shit. And far as you mentioned about the fast food, it's happening because McDonald's has got commercials now, man, that's saying, hey, our chicken has no processed this and no GMO, no this and that, and it's like it's all natural, and they get it, and it's terrible that it has to come to this. That you have to put people on blast for them to do the right shit. There's a big thing with Dunkin' Donuts was using their so-called powdered sugar was not sugar at all. It was some chemical shit that they've been putting on their donuts. Why would you even bother with that? Why? And it's people like I had a conversation with some people from Subway, which they got this new health initiative, that they want me to kind of be involved with, and I'm like, cool. I mean, I don't have a problem, but let's first talk about some of the problems. Let's talk about your bread having some of the same ingredients that yoga mats have in it. I said that's not cool, nor is it sexy, so I'm telling my whole thing to tell that, and I'm saying I ain't got a problem saying it here, is that if I'm fucking with something, it's got to be real. You know what I'm saying? I got to sleep with meat every night, and I don't want a headache. I don't want to look over at myself and say, no, Ron, not tonight. I got a headache. You know what I'm saying? So, and I got 3 guys that really look up to me, and I got to set an example, which I have and which I do constantly. And me, I got to live with me, man. It ain't about the money, but I'm getting paid. But I don't do what I do for the money. But I'm getting paid.
You're
So
supposed to get paid, man. It's not about doing all sorts of free shit. People think that gardening, it's the way of growing. It's all about being free. Well, I mean, you said in your own TED talk. I'm literally going to quote you. The funny thing about sustainability is that it needs sustaining. It needs people to actually do this stuff. And if we keep not sustaining, if we keep ignoring, like we have been, the amount of water that's going into these agricultural fields, the fact that Nestle is bottling water in California, even in the middle of this drought, how the hell can we sustain if the only people that these 25% mandates or whatever are being applied to are the people and not the corporations? Now,
Right.
I don't understand why people, like other people in the world, should be freaking out about this too. It's not just people in LA, right? Why, right? Well, fuck, where do you think all of our spinach comes from, or our almonds, or half the fruits and vegetables? Like, everything is growing in California.
Valley.
There's so much fucking food coming out of that goddamn valley that we don't even fathom it. Even if you want to talk about stuff that might get people moving, all that wine, there's so much wine that's coming out of California. It makes it's going to be a huge motherfucking problem if they run out of water, number one. And number two, what do you think 30 million people are going to flood to if there's no more water in the area, right? I mean, air is number one, but water's number two. There's no doubt about the fact that shit's going to go down, pretty soon. Right? You got to be thinking about this.
No, I mean, I was in Qatar in the Middle East, man, and I said, so where's this food? Where'd you guys grow your vegetables? Like, oh, that's from Owens Valley. I'm like, what do you mean Owens Valley? Yeah, in California. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm in the Middle East and you telling me your food is from Owens Valley? So it's that kind of shit, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
The world's gonna feel it.
Yeah, no, it's bad. But I mean, it's cool to see that people like McDonald's is they're waking up. I mean, because they're closing stores. They've you never heard about McDonald's closing stores. Mm-mm. So the fact that they see, the tides have changed, and like people, a lot of these greenies and shit, they with their Birkenstocks and like they're like, oh, that's greenwashing if you fuck with them, and I wouldn't fuck with this, and I wouldn't deal with that. That's selling out. And I'm like, fuck you. I said, where did their money come from? Mm-hmm. Where did all these corporations that you got all this bad shit, where did their money come from? Came from your ass. Came from everybody. That's where they got their money. Just didn't fall out of a tree. Why wouldn't I get some of their money and turn that shit into what I want to do? Because if I get it, it's gonna be like, hey, this is what my mandate is. If you can fuck with it, if you can fuck with it, cool. If you can't, we still cool. Do your thing. Do your thing. But I mean, you got these corporations, man, that need to give some of this money to make it look like they're doing back. But it's like, again, I'm not hanging your shingle. I'm not wearing your T-shirt. So. But if you want to get down with what I'm doing because you love what I'm doing and you see it's the right thing, I'm cool. I say you might not necessarily have to sleep with the devil totally, but you might find yourself in a sleazy motel room with twin beds and hope you don't wake up engorged. So you might.
It's a fine line. It's a fine line.
It ain't that fine. I spoon the devil. I ain't got a problem spooning the devil.
I feel you. I mean, the way I see it is, like you said, our money, they got that money from someone. Okay. And at the end of the day, there are people out there who don't feel like they have the choice. They're working their 9 to 5 or their 9 to 9. And, across the street from their job is fucking McDonald's. And what choice do they really have? They're not making enough money to really walk all over, walk what, like 50 blocks to the Whole Foods? Like, not everyone has that ability. And corporations, at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, it's the state of our world. I mean, they're here, and they're here to stay for at least a little while. And as you said, there are some that are going to decline. And yes, it's a question of personal choice. And if we all start making that choice, they will decline, and the kind of the better, healthier, real food options will come to fruition. But it's going to take time. It's going to take transition. It's going to take moments where we need to work with these corporations to actually change the shit that they're doing. And we have to let them know that this is serious, And none of that. And to me, like, what I hate about like gardening and the fact that we started a movement here at Valhalla and stuff. And what I really hate is that we're always associated to being like hippies and protesters. right? Oh, that's some fucking hippie shit. So that's some protest. No, that's not fucking protest. It's not. Protest is me going out there and just fucking complaining about it and saying, hey, we need to change this stuff. Like, McDonald's is really bad for us. GMOs, nah. And like, yeah, sure, I get it. Monsanto's a piece of shit. All these companies sometimes are really shitty, without a doubt. But at the end of the day, if I'm not fucking putting my time and my effort into making something different, then it's fucking bullshit. Yes, then I am a protester. But I didn't buy, and our group didn't come together for 60 acres of land to plant a food forest because we're protesting. We're doing it because, number one, we want to fucking survive. Number two, there's some really good strawberries and apples and pears and stuff that we can eat out of it. It's really fun. And number three, it's the right thing to do. It's the way forward for us to be able to kind of set the example for future generations, and forget fucking future generations, our generation, if we're going to fucking survive. If we're gonna, our world cannot keep going down the same path that we're doing and expect that everything's gonna be fine and dandy and rosy. I truthfully feel that we are at a point where I don't know if we're, I used to think, oh yeah, I'm really hopeful. Maybe we'll be able to avoid that brick wall that's coming our way, right? That smack in the face of a reality saying, wait a second, this is unsustainable. And I don't know anymore. I don't know if we're going to hit that brick wall, if we're not going to hit that brick wall. I think we're going right for it, and I think we're going to smack it. And I think a lot of people are going to get a very rude awakening and wake-up call. And it's going to be too late for many of us.
Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you on a lot of those points. It's my whole thing is we don't have no skin in the game. Most people... And it's, gardening or growing your own food is not some frivolous act or some hippie shit. But it's like with that whole thing you were talking about, the protest, people were like, Ron, they were looking for you to be at the anti-GMO march. And I'm like, I never said I was going to no fucking march. I'm not marching against GMOs. Mm-hmm. Fuck, but I'm not. So it's like people just expect because I do what I do that I'm supposed to like all of a sudden sign up to your shit. No, I said I had 60 people putting in a garden while y'all was marching. Who do you think is more effective? I said, now check this. All those motherfuckers that you had marching, imagine if they was putting in gardens. You ain't got to get your bull. Monsanto could give a fuck about your bullhorns and you marching. You know what I'm saying? They're going to do. Now, if all y'all get together and start putting in gardens and start growing your own food, then you have a revolution. Mm-hmm. Then you have something that they're going to take notice to. Mm-hmm. So it's that to me, man. It's like, that's what you're saying. It's like, I ain't got to sit out there and say, oh, boo-hoo. No, get your ass and put some work in.
We got to. And that's a good point, right? Imagine all those hours, all that energy that was spent yelling at the top of their lungs and marching all the way until, I don't know, the Capitol Hill or whatever. And all that effort, not to say that, going out there and making your voice heard is not important. It is. Clearly people in Baltimore are making their voice heard. Now, what is put on TV is a whole other story. But the idea is that the fact is that there are times for making our voice heard, and there is a significant bigger portion of time that should be put into the actions that require us to fucking change. Okay? Because if we're not going to change, if we're still going to drive our way up to Starbucks drive-thru to get our cafe lattes and stuff, and then expect that, oh, well, I don't understand why Starbucks doesn't have fair trade coffee, and well, fuck, how can you expect that? You're not demanding it. You're buying their shit and expecting that they're going to just do the right thing. The right thing for them and their stockholders is to make more money. Make more money, okay? They're doing the right thing based on the game that we've laid out, okay? And it's not you and I, it's not our fucking fault, but we're part of the game at this point. And we might as well play it, but we might as well play it with our own rules. So we might as well kind of break the rules, bend the rules, and take our time and energy and put it into the right solutions. And there are so many things that can be done, but I can't even believe that people aren't panicking. I just can't believe that people are sitting there in California and I was there, okay, and I went to Yosemite to like document the fact that how low the water was and stuff. And I was fucking freaking out. I'm like, California is beautiful. I live in Montreal. It's cold as shit here half the time, okay? But it is, at least we have fresh water at this point, right? And it's like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, fuck, how are people not like freaking out?
that I mean, you see these water lines where they used to be and where they are now, and you see the boxes under there that measure stuff, and you can see the tops of these boxes, and it's like, okay, this was supposed to be at the bottom of that bed of water, right? How the hell do I see it now? So no, it's at critical mass, man, it's scary, it's dangerous. Because if something jump off, so now they're talking about this desalination of the ocean, man, and that shit's expensive as hell. And then you have the salt, where's all that shit gonna go? So, but I think they're at the point. It's like, well, what else we got to do? But we see the difference is we just waste shit, period. And I tell people, it's like, no, like there's no Mother Nature don't waste nothing, nothing. Everything, even you think of the volcanoes, they make that shit goes back. Oh, we got new property now. From volcano. I mean, leaves. People sleep on that. Leaves, and it's a nuisance for people. And I'm like, no, that's a resource, dude. I said a leaf falls from a reason in a particular season. That shit's by design. And with that, no, I when I look at leaves, I tell people, damn, my nipples get hard. I mean, I get excited because I got some more shit for my compost. I got some mulch, and we got some leaf molds. People don't look at it like as a resource. I mean, but if you look at the circle, if you look at what happens, this tree, the leaves fall. They they stay right there by the tree. So what it is that it creates a mulch. So when it rains, the stuff percolates down. It just doesn't run away. And then those leaves turn into soil, compost, and it feeds the tree. And then it starts all over again. We don't look at stuff like that. We don't look at rocks being a barrier as being mulch. So a lot of the stuff, man, and trees that come down, what do? We put them in a landfill instead of putting them in the ground, where they could break down, add carbon, and save us water because they're holding the water that's already there. So it's this kind of things. We gotta biomimicry, man. We gotta mimic what the hell is happening in Mother Nature, and everybody should know that. So that's what I'm saying. I don't see gardening as some frivolous, skip to my loo, or we're having fun kind of shit. No, this is a life skill. This is a survival skill that everybody needs to know how to do, and you said earlier, man, the only way we're going to change this shit is got to be sexy. We got to make this shit sexy, man. The marketing, it's got to be some sexy shit.
Well, look, I say this, and I fucking fully agree with that. We got to make sustainability sexy, right? How do we need to make sustainability sexy? Now, that is not an easy task. Okay, because sustainability has been linked to hippies and protesters. It's one of those things that we know, but that's where it is, right? And it's like, shit, this is just another hippie going out there and planting some shit.
Dirty hippie.
Dirty, yeah. Don't care about money. We want to do everything for free. Peace and love. Everything should be like that. Like no, that's
oranges back to the tree. No, the tree don't need the oranges back, you clown.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it makes sense that certain things need to stay. Biomimicry, right? Let the leaves fall, let them stay, let them do their thing, right? Like there is a cycle there, and it's not to say that we should just go back to Stone Age time either, which is the next thing people say. Well, technology is a great thing. I'm not saying to get rid of your iPhones and your computers. I'm just saying, why don't you spend a little bit less time in front of them and a little bit more time outside, right? Well, it's not about black or white. It's not like saying, hey, let's go back to the caveman days and we have to grow all our own food and everything, and we can't work as a community and can't have cars. Okay, yes, we can have cars and houses and all these things, but we need to think a little bit more about where these things are coming from. We need to think about where our water's coming from, what we're eating, where we're shitting, and where it goes when we flush down the toilet and stuff. The fact that we flush our toilets with clean water should be a crime, right? Like this shit, that's a fucking crime.
To get rid of 6 ounces, 8 ounces of urine, which is a vital nutrient, again, is a resource. We have this thing. I mean, I was in London, man, and they have these urinals in the middle of the street, like not in on the sidewalk, that they don't have no. There's just these. You walk in and you just they got sides on them, and it's like they're 4 together, and you just stand in there and you pee in the middle of the street. and they're collecting all of this urine because their soils are depleted. They need this nutrient, in their soil. So they're collecting urine all over London, man. And people don't know how that this is sterile. That this is we haven't been educated like that, man.
Well, we haven't been educated in jack shit when it comes to that, because where do you think it fucking goes when you flush your toilet? Where do you think that fresh water goes? Right back to where you fucking get your fresh water in the first place.
Where you think the guys in the spaceship, in the space shuttle, where you think they're drinking right now?
Exactly. At the end of the day, these are vital resources, and what comes into a system needs to stay in the system for it to work properly. And if we keep pulling stuff out and we keep picking and choosing what we find disgusting, what we don't find disgusting, then what's really kind of starting to happen is that we're creating this manufactured reality. Okay, and in this manufactured reality, it's unsustainable. Period. And to make it back to the marketing and sexy perspective, I studied in marketing. I have no background in gardening. I had never fucking planted a tree or done any of this stuff. And yet I can tell you all about these things like permaculture and biomimicry and all that stuff only because I gave a shit, okay? Only because I decided that I was going to care about learning the basic stuff that I should have learned in school, but we weren't learning in school, Yep. And with that comes the idea that as you watch documentaries, as you take on all of this stuff, we have to talk about it like we would talk about everything else, like we would talk about sports, like we would talk about, some new clothes that you just got, like we would talk about the latest bar or club that's hot or whatever. Like, we need to talk about the fact that, hey, I went out there and gardened today, or hey, I went out and planted this beautiful apple tree and it blows my mind how amazing it is. Or, hey, the bees are dying because of colony collapse disorder or whatever it is, right? Like, we need to talk about this. And if we're not talking about it, if we're leaving this as some fringe topic for only the few to talk about, then it's going to start biting us in the ass, and it already is. And it's not just about organics. It's not just GMO and Monsanto, because guess what? An organic carrot field that is all one type of carrot for miles and miles is not any more sustainable when it comes to water usage than the non-organic the GMO carrot at the end of the day. Okay, so we have to kind of get away from the illusion that it's just about pesticides and a couple of corporations making this problem happen. It is also about us. Yes, there are tons of water used in agriculture, but guess who's eating that fucking food? You know what I mean? We're the ones eating it. We're the ones buying it from the grocery store, and the food in that chain is wasted time and time again. Like, what is it? Like 1/10 of food ends up in our stomach, right? And into human, like, that we grow. Out of a pound of food, only 1/10 of it ends up in our stomach.
And into the things that we eat, but they're saying now it's damn near up to 50% is being thrown away. It was 40 a couple of years. Now they're saying it's up to 50%. But when you look, Mark, when you see how the soil is being depleted, and when you see they keep spraying shit, and then we get Mother Nature, you can't win because she's been at this way longer, and we keep, okay, we're going to spray this shit to kill this bug and to save this, this crop. And then what happens? A stronger weed comes, a stronger bug comes. So they use stronger shit. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because Mother Nature, and like, you're not killing me like that, dude. Mm-hmm. And they know the way to do it right. That's the fucked up part, but they don't choose to. And that's how we had that Dust Bowl situation, in the 40s, where we depleted all the topsoil. All the nutrients were totally gone. It couldn't hold water. The soil couldn't do nothing, man. We don't look at soil as a living, breathing, life-giving organism is what it is, man. We look at it just as dirt. Oh, it's dirty. Get the dirt off. But I've had too much experience now seeing kids that when they put something in the ground, man, and it grows, they're not tripping on that. They'll like wipe it off or something on their shirt, but if they planted that carrot, they're gonna eat it. Period. I've seen this happen too much, man. Because now what do they have? They have skin in the game. They didn't drive up to a window. Can I have a super sauce, double fluffy burger with whatever the hell, and drive 20 feet? They hand you a bag of shit that's supposed to be food. Bam. And you have no skin in the game. So basically, people don't see that as this shit to me, Mark, is a form of slavery, dude, for everybody.
It is.
We're like enslaved to big ag right now because they control our food.
Yeah.
All of it.
And they're enslaving us in more than big ag too, right? Like they're enslaving us. Once it's big ag, then you all of a sudden you're fucking unhealthy. Then you need to go to fucking big pharma to get your pills, to get your shit. Now all of a sudden, guess what? All those chemicals we were spraying and all the food, well, the bacteria and those bugs and stuff are getting stronger and stronger and resisting these chemicals. So are we. So are we resisting all the antibiotics. I was watching something on Vice News, where just on HBO, right? And they were talking about how we're going to live in a post-antibiotic world soon. Because we have gone and depleted so many of the different kind of drugs that are out there, and we've kind of used them, that all these bacteria and viruses are morphing into more and more superbugs. And the answer to finding all of these kind of like the next wave of antibiotics would have been in the forests and stuff, right? In caves or in the Amazon jungle or all that stuff. But we're chopping it down 200 football fields a minute and saying like, hey, what's going to happen next? Like what's going to save us from the next big kind of agricultural, next big super virus? And there's nothing, right? There's nothing there that's going to save us. And we're chopping it down, and we're just not paying attention. We are just not giving a fuck about what is going on around us. And we have to. We have to, and it's up to, I think it's up to people like, I know I listen to Joe Rogan's podcast, for example. I know you were a guest on his podcast. It's up to people like Joe Rogan. It's up to people who are kind of counterculture, but who have audiences. It's up to people like you and I and us to shift that culture, to be those leaders that take that action. So I'd love to hear more about some projects that you've got going on that you might need support with, that you want people to come out and join you with in LA or whatever. Like what do you suggest that people do? Let's say they've heard this, they watch your TED Talk, they're hearing more and more about this crazy shit going on in documentaries. Where should they go? What should people do in your opinion?
I want people to open their eyes, man. And this is. I mean, people ask me what I do, and I tell them I change culture. That's what has to happen. The culture has to be changed. It's like one of my things with this whole, people are like, well, why you call yourself gangster gardener? And I'm like, because this shit is gangster. Mother Nature is gangster. Soil is gangster. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The tools that you use, to put work in, that's gangster. Not this robbing people and getting high all the fucking time and being drunk. I mean, they promote, you got all these rappers and shit. As far as I'm concerned, that's the decline of the Western civilization, man, because you got these kids that think that's how they're going to make it. That's what they have to do. Is all this negative, violent, misogynistic bullshit, money, 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 and I don't go there, man. I want people to know, no. For us, these are our communities, and we need to sustain them. We need to beautify them. Nobody's coming in our communities and throwing trash in the street and shit. That's happening from people in the community. You are the motherfucker on the white horse. Don't stop waiting for people to do it and for you. And that's why I call this gangster, because that other shit is gonna get you in a place of confinement. I want these kids to know that you have the option and the opportunity to design your own life. But yes, are the cards, are the blocks, are the bricks stacked against them? Fuck yeah. I mean, you start life, with some fucking Similac that has, GMO'd, what is it? Protein in it, and then you soy protein, and then you go to school and they feeding you this shit from who knows where that you can't even identify. The fact that they, classify tomato as ketchup as a serving of vegetables. That's what these kids are dealing with, man. And people don't say how do you expect them to excel? They don't have any nutrients in their bodies to make their brain work to function. So that's why I'm saying from day one, it's all your ass is the numbers by design. Mark, we have to change culture. What I'm trying to, that's my game, man. I got a project I'm working on here that just trying to get more people to grow their own food, and I got a project I'm working on here. It's called Vermont Square Library, where we're raising money to make that happen. Whereas it's an acre that we just want to turn into a paradise. Man, I tell people I wanted to represent what shit the High Line represents in New York. If you don't know what the High Line is,
look it up. It was a marvel to start with 50, 60 years ago. I mean, over that, but it's just totally revitalized this whole community. The whole community is the biggest tourist attraction in New York right now. And I want this 1 acre to represent. I wanted to have a place, a cafe, made out of a container, or even a metro bus, a greenhouse, places for people to grow food. Bi-weekly farmers food market, food stand, where even people that take stuff from their trees in the neighborhood can come there, sell it, come there, trade your food for credits with the cafe, and just a place where people can come and gather and build this community, and then let that spread onto the churches, onto the schools, onto the other parts of the world, man. Because a lot of times, like in LA, man, you go down some streets and there's 6 churches on one block, and I'm like, I'm not cool with that shit, because I can't get an organic apple for 10 miles, but I can get this. So why don't you churches get together instead of with this, my religion is better than your bullshit, and get together and put in a healthy food market center, something where people can get some, because isn't that doing good business? If your people going to live longer, don't you get more money if you, because apparently you in the game to get paid. So just keep that shit real. So people are like, well, Ron, you shouldn't go after. I said, why shouldn't I go after the churches? Fuck that. That's supposedly why they're there, So
they're leaders in the community. I mean, many people go there and praise praises at their church and yet aren't spending the time to. Church is all about community, right? It's all about talking about community all day long. And here we are not making the community. Why wouldn't the church step into something like this? This is exactly, where we're going to wait for the standardized tests at school to teach our kids this kind of stuff. No, we're going to have to do it right here, right now with ourselves, teaching these kids, getting these kids into whatever after school programs or whatever that are doing it. And getting people even in jails, right? Let's get these people to sustain the jail. Let's get these people to really rehabilitate their minds and not just sit there in the cell and wait to die, and become gangsters, like, the traditional word of gangsters. Let's make them really fucking gardening gangsters. Let's do that,
That's that whole jail, prison industrial complex, medical industrial complex, military industrial, all these are games to make a gang of money, and they're by design. And that's what these kids don't know. Your ass is already, at a certain age, they've already predicted how many jail cells they know because of your standardized bullshit test, because they're not teaching you survival skills. I mean, I told some of my shit. My idea would be make like a place like South Central, places across. Let's make them maker spaces. The whole fucking neighborhood. Let's just have the whole fucking community. Just have them be. We make shit. All this shit y'all throw away. All this stuff. We are known for making shit, and I think that's a way to build some sustainability, man. We grow a certain even food. We grow this that you can't get nowhere else. What plant is gonna cure this, or what kind of plant is going to fix this ailment, and we grow this so you can get it here. I mean, that's the kind of systems that we need in place, man. I don't it ain't that hard, Mark, as you know, from setting up your food for us. It ain't that, but it's like we need to just take the shrouds off of our eyes, man, and realize that we're being bamboozled by a community that gives less than a fuck. Gives no fucks about us, and because they want you, they're killing us. We live in, and they don't care about killing us.
Do you see it changing? Do you think it's going to change? Like we talked about the brick wall a little more, but I mean, like, are you seeing more and more people coming out? Because I know with us at the Valhalla movement, this weekend we're out there every Saturday as like a public thing, right? To like get more people gardening, and we just kind of teach them and show them around. We built this Earthship greenhouse out of tires and bottles and stuff, and we're just trying shit, Sorry, what?
All that hippie shit.
Yeah, exactly. All that hippie crazy shit. But we're trying it, right? And we're doing different things. And I know that week after week there are more and more people showing up, right? And it seems like more and more people are kind of getting involved. But there's a lot of people who show up and they're like not ready to work at all. Like they show up and they're just like they're asking questions, right? And I'm sure you get a lot of that. People invite you out to some dinner or some place, to some event, to go to join some rally or some march, but they're all still talking. Like, yes, the culture is shifting a little bit, but have you seen more shovels in the ground in your area? Like, is this something that you feel is happening?
Oh yeah, definitely, and especially at schools. I mean, just by the calls and the emails, I get emails literally. I'm not bullshitting you, Mark, from around the world, man. Of how I want people to realize you don't need me. You're me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And she's me, and he's me, and they're me. I don't need to be there. If you got this inspiration, do this shit. This is your canvas. What brushstroke? What color? What's the first mark you're gonna put on your canvas? Treat this shit like it's art, which is what it is to me, man. So there's no right and wrong. This is your picture. What do you want to paint? It's the same thing with your life. Don't let nobody. You have the opportunity. We got kids that don't dream, Mark. They can't see that, man. And that's where the culture shift comes in. But yeah, is it? Hell yes, changing. I mean, I see it every day. You know that you know I got a email with a news clip on it where some guys in Brazil took over a lot in front of their apartment because they're like, we're doing this because of the gangster Ron Finley and gangster Gardner in LA. And they got this big ass lot they took over, and now it's okay. Now they're taking over another lot to start growing their food, man. So a kid in San Antonio took his parkways over and called it his community grocery store. Mm-hmm. You know, Africa, like Korea, that I'm getting, because of the power of the internet.
Power of one YouTube video, right?
Yeah,
just
man,
going up there on stage, speaking your truth and doing it.
But I got tons of videos now because I've spoken, basically around the world. One of the fun. I mean, I spoke at Google's conference and Mad 4, which is one of my favorites, which is Rene Redzepi, who has a restaurant Noma, which is the #1 restaurant in the world. He does a conference called Mad, and I spoke there, and it was big fun. So the information is out there. Yeah, a lot of people are waking up, man. I got a pop up right now in LA. If anybody's from LA. manifestjustice.org. Check it out. It's a pop-up art show with that basically is about injustice and how and the art reflects a lot of that, and it's really successful. It's going to be up until I think the 10th. So you should get down there and check it out. So there's a lot of stuff going on, man. And I'm doing a pop-up. We're calling it the Funk Function, like FUN in capital, because I think people just need to have fun and realize that this shit is fun. We're turning the library into an open air library, taking it outside with books and hammocks and swings and teepees and all kinds of shit for people to just come out and have fun, and show how, like, placemaking, showing how an environment can change. And just because a lot of times, as you know, man, if somebody hasn't seen it, they can't dream it. And it's terrible because a dream, just as that, it's expansive, it's big, it's large, it's ginormous. But you got kids, man, that don't see that. They don't realize that they have the opportunity to dream and to design their own life because of the constraints that are on their life, and they don't even realize that this shit is on their lives and that they have a barcode tattooed on their fucking neck at birth, And that we're just trying to change that, man. And yeah, I see it happening every day.
Cool, man. I'm glad to hear that. I'm very glad. Like, we can talk about this stuff and be very depressing, but we can also be very hopeful about it, right? We can also be, leaders in our community going out there doing it and then seeing other people doing it and kind of passing that dream on like seeds, right? We're planting those seeds. Every time we plant a plant, there are people who walk by and who might see that plant or notice that it's different than that patch of grass that was next to, all the way down the street as well. The idea is that as we plant those seeds of change continue to spread, right? One fruit bears more than one seed. It bears thousands of seeds possibly, right? So it goes and it grows. And, people, I like to leave people on one thing. 10 years ago, YouTube and like iPhones and stuff didn't exist. You know what I mean? 10 years ago, the iPhone was never even heard of. And yet now everybody's got that shit, right? Like everybody's walking around with smartphones and all this stuff and all their apps and all that stuff. So you can't even imagine what might exist in the 10 more years, right? We can't imagine the world that we can shift and change just through a couple of campaign ads, just through making things cool, just through shifting culture. And if we do that as individuals, more and more people are going to get behind it. And it's definitely happening. Website traffic of all these kind of conscious media, conscious type, eye-opening type websites are growing by the day. And so it's just a question of being a part of it. And it's not to say that you have to grow the biggest food forest, and it's not to say that you have to do everything that that is all sustainability all the time. But even if you're a part of a small thing, if you as a listener, even if you're a part of the smallest thing and you talk about it, people are going to get behind it. More and more people are going to research it. More and more Google searches are going to go on, and through that it becomes the fabric of our society, and then becomes a new soil upon which the new plants of tomorrow are going to grow, right? And that's where this is happening. We're playing a game where the media told us a whole lot of shit, right? And all these big ag and big pharma and all these companies have done a certain amount of kind of bamboozling of our society. But at this point, the internet is overpowering this. We're way too connected at this point, and we know way too much at this point to be able to not have them shift that and not kind of make them pay for some of these things. And it's not just through protest and picketing out there with a sign, but it's through protesting, by planting a garden, by doing things, some of the biggest acts of defiance you ever possibly can, right? And I know, one of your lines is that growing fruit is like growing money, right? It's literally like printing money. So you do it. Why are you doing it? If you're sitting there listening, now's the time. It's springtime. Now's the time to go plant something outside in your yard, or go guerrilla garden it. Go literally plant. I every once in a while I go plant something in the middle of a park. Like, fuck it, man. I don't give a shit. This is my park. I go here. Not other people. I go and plant a fruit tree.
I do that, Mark. I do that with sunflowers, man.
Yeah.
We try to get some planted in like Stockholm. I mean, everywhere I go, you try to put a sunflower there, and I just a hashtag. I was having people plant sunflowers, and I give them away. I have seedlings, hundreds of them, and I give them away. I said hashtag this. I love sunflowers, But it's like what I've started now is this whole gangster shit, and so I started like real G's grow food, real G's make art, real G's grow flowers. That's what fucking real G do. And so like that, this is so just to change that, vernacular, what they're calling a gangster, real gangsters grow food, so that's something we, that we, a hashtag that we started too. So just to change people's mindset, man, if you it's not about tearing shit down. It's about building shit up. It's about lifting people up. People, and I tell people like, Ron, they're like, you're giving them hope. I'm like, I hope not. Because I said, fuck hope. You can't do nothing with hope but hope. I'm trying to give people opportunities, man. Opportunities to open their mind, opportunities to live better, opportunities to even just think, is what it's about. It's not about no damn hope with me, man. It's like we've been sold that shit for too long. No, I don't need hope, dude. Give me an opportunity and I'm gonna change the game. And that's what I'm trying to do, man, with what I'm doing. And if people don't realize this shit takes money to do this. So if any of y'all got some spare change in your pockets, ronfinley.com and hook us up so we can continue to change this world, because it's happening. And Absolutely. It's going to continue to happen. Every one thing you were talking earlier, and I thought, we were talking about the food, and it's like they keep spraying and shit. We're talking, and it just came back to me. It's like, why the fuck is there every cancer now is a rare cancer? Every other cancer now is some rare shit. So it's almost with the level of what they spraying and what they're doing with shit, now this is a rare cancer, and they give it a new name, and it's like, why the fuck are all the cancers rare now? What happened to the old fashioned shit? And who doesn't know somebody with cancer, man? Yeah. It's bad.
It is bad. Yeah. It is bad. But we have the power. We have one power, and we vote every day with our dollar. We vote every day with our click. We vote every day with what we put our intentions and attention to. Okay? So every fucking day that you buy something, every time you click on something, every time you like something on Facebook or whatever the fuck it is, you guys are voting every single day. So why not vote for the people that you support? Why not go to ronfinley.com and donate some money? Or why not go and take that money you were going to donate, buy a shovel on some plants and plant them outside too, okay? I'm sure you'd be just as happy either way. The idea is that the truth is we're here to try and make a difference, not only for our own lives, not only for the people after us and your kids and stuff, but at the end of the day, we're making a difference for our communities. And every day you guys have that chance.
You heal your mother, you heal yourself.
Exactly. So guys, don't forget, you guys can like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. It does help us. It helps more people hear this message because they need to hear it. And it allows people like us to continue to do what we're doing and to continue to try and shift that culture, because that's what this podcast is all about. So thanks so much for being a guest, Ron, and much love and appreciation for all that you do, man.
Stay up. Yeah, you guys, it's spring, go out and plant some shit. And get gangster with your shovel.
Later.
Peace.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, and don't forget to rate and leave a comment. Until next time, be the hero you've always dreamed of